Hi, everyone. This is Trevor Halpern. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the What's Halperning podcast. Today, I am so excited to have Stephanie Gonzalez with me. The way I talk about Stephanie, like no joke, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but is that when people are like, oh, you know, what about Stephanie? Or someone mentions Stephanie, I go, she is one of my favorite people, period. I literally do that. And I told that to Beth this morning, and she was like, oh my God, you have to say that. So, and it's so funny because I realized no one else gets the period. But like Steph is one of my favorite people, period. So thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have you here.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Stephanie is the COO of North&Co. She's a partner. She is a general badass in the world of real estate. And as a person, as a mom, as a wife, she's an amazing person. And if you have the opportunity to spend any time with Stephanie Gonzalez, you realize very quickly how genuine you are as a person.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean it. Like, no shit stuff. Like, you were one of the
I have to receive it and feel it.
Yeah, you were one of the most influential people in my development of where my business has gone. Coming to North&Co, stepping into what you and Brian have built, taking big bites of it, being open to your direction and your help, and you being open to helping and directing me. For what? Because it's cool and fun for you and you see someone grow, like, that's cool.
I love that you're already getting emotional.
I don't think I've gotten emotional on this before. I'll gather myself, but seriously.
Yeah. That, period, is why I do what I do and why I love what I do. Because I feel honored to sit down with you. I felt honored to even have the opportunity to think about you moving from one brokerage to another, to think about that we could potentially join forces, and then to sit in the room and have you really pour all of your intel on the table. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. This is where I'm going. This is what I haven't, right, left. And for you to just trust Brian and I in that room to go, here you go. I'm showing you, forgive my expression, but I'm showing you everything under the kimono. Yeah. And like, tell me, right? Yeah. Get radio feedback. Tell me what's up. And you were a sponge. And then to watch you listen and learn and apply and execute and grow, and then again and grow, like the platform that you continue to build upon is amazingly rewarding and cool.
That's
so
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. That's amazing to hear back. And
and
that's really, I mean, you described, that's an external view of the journey that I've been on, thanks to what you guys have helped me do. And that's exactly what I felt. And that's exactly what Beth has felt. And that's exactly what my like business partners and my friends and my family have felt. And it's just been fun. And it's fun to see plans come into action. And it's fun to see, like, you guys were what I needed at the time. Like, my business had plateaued for 2 years. Yeah. And I said this on a call the other day. I find when my brain goes to like, well, what other businesses can I do? Like, what else can I do? I know I'm like, like something's not going well in my business. And that was happening at my previous brokerage, where for 2 years in a row, I was hitting a ceiling and I was bored and I was burning out and I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And I interviewed several brokerages and came to you. And it was like the whole thing just was different. And what it did is, I've always felt in my bones that I'm an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to create stuff and tinker and tweak and build and all of that.
Totally.
And what I found in North&Co, in the language that you spoke and the language that you guys speak, is that it is taking us as real estate agents and creating entrepreneurs out of us.
Absolutely.
If we so choose.
Absolutely.
You know, not everyone has to come to North&Co and be like, hey, I'm going to run a business. Mm-hmm. But if you want to link into that, and if you want to take the entrepreneurial spirit and you want to take the spirit of building, running, managing a business and applying business strategy and modeling to a residential real estate sales business, I don't know if there's anywhere better. Like, institutionally, I think, you could go to one of the big, the Keller Williams that are very structured and all of that. But like from just a mind, body, soul standpoint, I don't think you're going to get that anywhere. But but there, and And it's because North&Co, like that's what you guys have intentionally built. And I think the intentionality is so important. And for people who tune into this, there's a good quotient of them that are entrepreneurs. And so getting that entrepreneurial feel and knowing that, hey, they may be in some other business and have always been interested in real estate and not understood that you could actually make a business out of it.
Totally. You could make anything that you want out of it, but yes, business.
Well, you know what's interesting? Yeah. You say that is that because of what I've learned through the North&Co family, right? Like I'm plugged into all of the stuff that you guys are plugged into, unless there's a layer I don't know about.
No.
Well, we can talk offline.
No lion's layer, no other layer.
So like I came in and the language that you and Brian spoke is the language that you guys have built and spoken with Zanzibar.
Yep.
And then I plugged into Zanzibar and started coaching with Zanz and started speaking his language. And then there's that's the working on the business and speaking the entrepreneurial language. But what was interesting that you said is that, you could choose to do anything. Now, because of the language that I speak, the education that I've received as an entrepreneur, I feel that I can pick up and do anything if I wanted to. Like, what happens if the real estate agent goes away? What happens if the economy crashes or real estate is not the jam anymore or whatever?
Totally.
What could I do? I mean, sometimes you have to go to dark places like that and think about things.
Totally.
And it's like, well, with who I know now, my advisors, with the people that I go to, with the people that I trust, and with the business acumen that I've gained just in the 3 years that I've been at North&Co, I'm a different person and a different business person. And it's been really cool.
That's so funny that you just said that. So as of recently, I want to say a month, maybe 6 weeks, 2 people, and I don't even remember who they were, but they were North&Co agents who have been watching you, just so you know. They, from the outside, were describing you as a completely different, I do know one of them who you've known, you and I. Yep. Okay. I do know one of the people, females, who we jointly love as well. I know. But she knew you pre North&Co and now North&Co, and basically said the root or the core of you is still very much Trevor, but literally he's turned himself inside out. Like, he's a completely different businessman. He's a completely different, you're just so incredibly different, better, bigger, more empowered, et cetera, et cetera.
Wow.
It's almost like they saw it not by talking to you, but literally by seeing you and feeling you from just your shift in energy.
It's so interesting. And the best part about all of that highly complimentary and like amazing things to hear is that the root of me is the same. Like that, like, I just want to be me.
Yeah.
Don't we
all?
Well, yeah. And honestly, the more, and I've talked about this too, that I feel like the more that I allow who I am to just be, the more comfortable I am in my skin, know? And yeah.
Okay. So question, I feel like this is my show. I'm actually interviewing you.
Welcome to the Stephanie Gonzalez podcast.
So what are you doing to keep the root? What are you doing to maintain who you really are and stay authentic? Are you meditating? Is there anything that you're journaling? It can be, I don't know. There's a whole host of things that you might be doing. So I'm curious.
It's funny that you listed those things. Journaling is something I've never been able to get into. And that's like something that we talk about a lot at North&Co. Brian does it. I'm sure you do it. I talk to agents at North&Co all the time who journal. I haven't been able to do it. And I don't know whether it's the commitment of the time every day, but it's interesting that you say that, because it's like, okay, what's next? What's the next step that I can do on the personal side of the improvement quotient? But I do quite a bit of mental work, meditation. I do work with Al Fuentes, and it's great to just check in honestly with yourself. And what it has built is a mechanism that allows me to more freely connect with the direction that I really want to go. I still struggle with it. So here's a really good example of this. Yesterday, we have our team marketing meeting, and my team had worked exceedingly. I'm really like schizophrenic when it comes to marketing. Like, whoa, let's like, this is how I'm feeling. Let's do this. And they're like, we just did this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, let's pivot. And that's part of the fun too of being creative with it. But I come into to our marketing meeting, and we were talking about this initiative that we had. The team had rallied. You're on this, you're doing that. Yeah, let's go. Bah, bah. Just gonna crush it. Shoot videos, do the things, spend the money, go. and I walk in here and I'm like, all right, where's this ad actually been delivered? Mm-hmm. And I looked at what we had paid this expert to develop a market for us. Mm-hmm. And when we dug in and we saw how it was being marketed, I was like, all of this energy for this, for this.
Good, bad?
Bad.
Okay.
Like,
right.
Like full flop.
Okay.
And I almost started crying. I was like, I got mad, I got sad. And then I looked at them, I said, I love you all. My every ounce of creative energy and any win that I had in my marketing sales is gone, and I need to leave.
Did you get Ragey Bear?
No, but that's because of the work that I've done. Full circle to your question. Nice way to bring it home. Yeah. I would have gone Ragey Bear back in the day, right?
Yep.
And like mad and this and that. But I just started hammering myself with questions. I got in my car. I just did a little drive, not a crazy drive, just a drive, put some music on, went and got some gas, started asking myself some questions. Why are you so mad, dude? And that is the work, the mental work, the like, why are you really upset? Being able to ask yourself these questions and as if you're confronting your own subconscious, that's where the mental work, that's where the meditation and the that sort of stuff has allowed me to shift from getting angry in those situations to be like, oh, you know why I'm frustrated? I'm frustrated because my subconscious is screaming at me that what we put our energy into doesn't jive with who I am or where we're going. Mm-hmm. And my team knew it. And I was like, no, we're going to do it. And like Dennis, my brand manager, I called him today, I go, you're right. I want you to know you were right. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
But that's how we're brothers in that regard too.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
And that's why we work together so well. But instead of getting ragey and not having any solution, I went from being ragey to 3 hours later, and not even ragey in the old, like just like being about to cry. I need to get the hell out of here.
It started to bubble up. It never.
Yes, it never exploded. It was like because as it started to get there, I just started asking questions. Why are you so frustrated, dude? Who are you frustrated at? Where does the buck stop? Oh, with you. You're mad at yourself. Why? If you don't like the result of something, it's because you didn't either put proper specifications around it or you didn't manage it well. Like, dude, your team rallied. They crushed it. They're engaged. They're in. You just like, and then why am I still frustrated? Oh, because I don't want to do this. This doesn't resonate, and I don't need to be doing this. And so,
good for you. That's awareness at a height, right?
That's
great.
Beth sent me this quote today, and it was like it's at the point where it crumbles that it begins to rebuild or whatever, and that's it. And sometimes you just got to break it.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least being able to, instead of turning those types of things into anger, and a lot of that stuff just started with like words from Brian, like that's tuition. Like you invested money in something and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. Like, are you gonna complain about it, or are you gonna learn some lessons and say, okay, I spent money on it and it didn't work, but I walked away with a bunch of lessons, and this actually created probably a better breakthrough. We put a lot of energy into something, it broke, and out of breaking it, I was like, that's not it, this is it.
Yep.
So
what would you do differently?
About that? Mm-hmm. Or about what?
You had an idea that maybe didn't, you had an idea, spent a bunch of time, effort, energy.
Okay, yeah.
This is it. This Push, is it. Go. And then it flopped.
Yes.
And you created awareness and you somewhat audited yourself and went to, okay, I'm not, whose desk does this really land on? Mm-hmm. Mine. Okay. Did you take it to the next step of like, now I need to circle the wagons with my team and go, okay, here's here's the learning lesson. Here's the red flag that I saw along the way. Next time I need you to hold me accountable for, like, did any, I don't know. Do you know, like, where to your team that you've assembled is amazing, right? So it's like, did you take it to the next step to actually make sure that, I don't know, next time it just
doesn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen or happens differently, or there's signs along the way, or I don't.
Yeah. Well, first, I've communicated with all of them today and been like, hey, I walked out. I'm sorry. I had to. Here's why.
Did you Scottie Pippen? Sorry.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Have you seen
what? We're
the
like
Last
a couple.
Dance?
No, we're like we're like 2-3 episodes in.
Scottie Pippen in one of like the most amazing basketball games, like just quits. He quits on his team anyways, but he comes back to apologize, and it's a really powerful moment, and it's important to do that.
So I did come back. And I apologize to the team. I literally have spoken with all of them. First and foremost, went to all of them hat in hand. Hey, shouldn't have left the meeting. But also I had to. And here's what I learned, and here's what I came to. And really what I came to is that I developed on my own this marketing campaign. This is what we're going to do. I found the empty parking spot, and we're going to fill it. No one's doing this. Like, man, I'm smart.
Yeah,
let's go. Like, this is going to work. And we engaged some marketing companies that could have helped. And they're like, yeah, no one's doing this. Let's go. The team got behind it. We built it. We pushed it. But where the mistake came is that I built it under assumptions of how it would work. Instead of going to the experts first and saying, here's my idea, or here's what I want to do. Here's the concept. How does this work? Or what's the best way for this to work? I said, this is how I think this works. And then I, through sheer force of will, engaged my team to make it happen, and engaged various marketing firms to make it happen.
Yep.
And I didn't ask the advisors, the experts first, how to do it.
Yep.
Because, and part of it was, I was like, ready, shoot, aim. I see the target. We got to go. This is a time thing. Let's rock. If we don't hit this in the next 3 weeks, the dynamic of the market is going to change, and we can do this. Let's go. Go, 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 go. And like, and then when I saw the result, I was like, get me out of here.
Yep. One, great leadership. There's so many things I could say right now, but great leadership. The fact that that's your role is to lead, is to charge, is to see something and take initiative and take the opportunity, right? So like, that is leadership. It didn't sort of work out the way that you wanted it to. And then you came back and went mea culpa, right? Like, let's digest this, and I'm sorry. And sorry I left. Here's why I'm sorry. Here's how it shook out for me. All of that is such great leadership too. I love the fact that you said, holy cow, I miss kind of the cardinal rule of either starting a business or entering a new market, which is you all ideally, and granted, this is the way that I think, my father was a civil engineer, so it's always about risk. Like everything in his mind is about risk, managing risk, I should say. But whenever you're entering a new business or a new market, ideally you shake out the sand to see if there's any gold in there. You know what I mean? You talk to advisors, you create some structure around it, some frame, some infrastructure, some like sketch of how this is supposed to go. Is everybody on board? Any naysayers, right? So I love that what a great lesson, right? To just pull into future.
Well, thank you. And it's lessons, it's practice, and it's going through this. I mean, you've been on the journey with me as I've tried to become more of a business manager and all of that. With the language that you just spoke, the business acumen, when you think back to when like Brian's like, want to do this? And you're like, well, let's do this. How has your business leadership and your business acumen evolved? And like, what's that journey been like? And how, like, have you just grown into your skin? Like, have you just felt like, yeah, that like, I knew this would, like, I feel like I'm down the path. Like, how has that all evolved for you?
Great question. So 1996, graduate from college.
Berkeley, no big deal.
Needed to pay rent. And so it was supposed to be on accident, but I got into real estate through my best friend's mom and did not think it was going to stick. And here I am in 2020 or 2020. And real estate sales led me to corporate. I was in sales 5-6 years, and then I got on the corporate side. And I learned a lot from 2 very big international, national brands that I worked for. And so much of that was my training grounds for I just sponge, right? I was just paying attention to all of these people that I had around me. I think my first mentor, my dad, gave me a really good foundation. God love him. He's amazing. But I also, although I had a really good root system, I absolutely was still like paying attention to all of these leaders around me, some good and some not so good. Mm-hmm. And so when the opportunity came in 2014, when Brian purchased the brokerage and wanted to really make North&Co not just a team, but a brokerage, I didn't even know what the hey what I had in store for me. I had always said that I wanted to own a brokerage or be part of building my own brokerage. Mm-hmm. I had thrown that out in the universe for years. I wasn't quite sure what form it was going to come in. Mm-hmm. And it came in the form of Brian North and North&Co. So 6.5 years later, which is right where we're at right now, so many things I could say about leadership. I think I had to derobe before I robed.
Yeah.
I think I had to, again, I'd like to think at the core, I have a good sense of how to listen to people, how to pay attention, how to stay aware.
The leadership portion of it, like the evolution of it as you've helped build this. I mean, in the 3 years that I've been a part of it,
yeah,
I've seen you evolve.
Oh,
I've seen you in Brian's evolution too. And it's been super interesting. But what it shows is that with dynamic leaders at the heart of a dynamic organization, you have to be open to ebb and flow.
Oh, for sure.
From leaving big corporate brokerage,
yep,
to Entrepreneurville,
mm-hmm.
How did you guys align and how did you make sure that you were applying business acumen? Like, did you guys sit in a room and you're like, okay, so should we whiteboard a business model? Like, how did it start? I don't think I've ever, like, how did you pencil it out?
Yeah. The first year was, as with any new business, the first year was very groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. It was an arranged business marriage. There's a whole story behind that, but we didn't necessarily come together on purpose. It was sort of on accident that we came together. And so year one was me learning him and him learning me. And oh, by the way, we're yin and yang. He's visionary, go, 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 do, do, do. He's shoot, fire, no aim. I don't know. I like, so that's so uncomfortable for me, right? So he was so opposite of me that year one was really trying to feel each other out. And because I landed in his lap, I think somewhat unexpectedly, he didn't even, I'd be curious to see what he said about this. I don't even think he knew what he had in me.
Right.
He didn't know about the industry that I came from, meaning big corporate, international. I work for 2 of the top 10 brokerages in the world. And so I don't even think he knew, oh, Stephanie, you've got XYZ ABC behind you.
Right.
It was, I kind of landed in his lap and it took him a year to go, oh, you did. Oh, and you were involved with, oh, and you know. And as we learned each other, I think we started to realize the yin and the yang. He always says that, his shortcomings, his opportunities, I hate the word weakness, were my strengths and vice versa. So we really fit well that first year over time, trying to figure each other out. But yes, very quickly, he introduced us to Zanzibar, and Zanzibar got us in a room to close our eyes and describe the vision of 3 years from today. I honestly believe we would not be here today if it were not for us doing that activity.
It's so important.
Yes.
And you guys instilled that in me.
Yes.
Vision.
If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
You can't.
Correct.
And the sooner the entrepreneur, the business person, the whoever is, I don't care what you're doing. If you're running your own business, if you don't have a vision for that business,
correct,
for your exact words, you don't know where you're going, you don't know how to get there, all of that stuff. Tell me, when it comes to like, I can see you coming into the fold with Brian as being the analytical type A portion of the yin to his yang, right? Mm-hmm. He's floaty, lofty, visionary, super emotionally, like he wants to get inside, he wants to lock in on it. And I can see you being like, he just looked right, like he got inside my soul. Like that was kind of weird. And then here's what I envision over time, you being like, that's cool. I like the emotional side of it and starting to tap in. Is my vision of you is being a little more type A, rigid, and then getting more connected with yourself over time?
Yes.
Has that evolved?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Thank you, Al Fuentes.
You're
channeling him.
Yeah. Well, he may have been in there a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Keep in mind, generally, I would say I'm an incredibly goofy, silly, funny, emotional woman that never brought that to the business side.
Interesting.
Until North&Co. So working for two really big companies that had very deliberate employment agreements and standard operating procedures and expectations, or being that way, literally, I used to say to myself, you just don't cry in the boardroom, ever. You don't. And yet I think most of our agent population has cried with me. I'm still not quite comfortable completely doing that.
Right.
But yes, absolutely. There was no, I have some isms in my head that I don't know if they're quite appropriate to mention here, but
whatever
leave your at the door every day, right?
Yeah.
Was how I believed. You just sucked it up and good day, bad day, good mood, bad mood, whatever happened, you just left your stuff at the door every day. I think what's been interesting is what Brian has taught me is, but wait, that bag that's out there that has some of your stuff in it is still part of your life. And it's okay once in a while to bring it into work just to acknowledge its existence. That doesn't mean it runs you. That doesn't mean that you need to cry all day long. Like both him and I very much are believers of pull yourself up from the bootstraps and get to it.
Right.
But there are times where you need to acknowledge it, right? You need to be aware. You need to call the ghost a ghost in order to almost let it disappear kind of thing. So in that process of me going, okay, emotions are okay to have at work. And it is pretty grindy out there with my kids right now who are 2 and 4. And oh my God, like how am I, 2 working parents, 2 little kids, how are we doing this in the downturn? Right. I could go on. So I definitely think he brought out that side of me that was, it's okay to feel. It's okay to bring home occasionally into work. It's for sure okay to bring, oh, by the way, what can happen, I think, is when you leave that stuff at the door, and I like to compartmentalize. You've left everything emotionally at the door. And so I've learned to let certain emotions in that should be a driving force. You don't leave your passion at the door.
Right.
Don't leave your indignant, no, I know this is the right thing to do. I have a gut about this business decision. Don't leave that emotion at the door. And I think I might have done that a bit too much towards, before meeting Brian, towards the end of my corporate side of my career.
Well, the corporate side, it's so interesting. I mean, once you bail out of that and once you disengage from that, like I've talked about the corporate life as having a Stockholm syndrome. There's a certain portion where you become enamored with your captors. You're like, well, they're providing all of this for me. And sometimes it's just easy to go on, even though it's emotionally toiling, and you know that you may not be going in the direction that you should be going. And so when you're able to step away from that, there is that portion where you have to, like, I guess it's almost like being a prisoner and then walking out. Like, all right, well, how do I feed myself?
Yeah.
Right. So getting engaged with your emotional side, because I totally see that. Like from a corporate standpoint, it's like when you walk in and it's like, but like, the bag of bullshit is left at the door.
Yes.
And it'll be there when you come back out.
Yes.
And no one's going to look in it because they have theirs. It's sitting there and no one wants each other. So leave it there. Like, I get that. And I think there's a place for that, but absolutely, especially when you're small business and when you're a business like North&Co that is a heart forward business. And what I said earlier, like the body, mind, spirit, like that is what the brokerage provides for anyone who wants to tap into any of it. And no joke, like you may look at some of the stuff in the beginning and be like, well, is that woo woo? Is that too like, what we're doing yoga and we've got we're vision boarding and all that stuff. Like, try it. Don't knock it. Mm-hmm. It's like we have cats at home. People are like, cats, you idiot. Like cats are stupid, or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, have you ever had a cat? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, don't judge it. It's like, if you had an iguana, I wouldn't be like, iguanas are dumb. Like, I don't know anything about them. But
it's so interesting. So I would say what's cool about Brian and my partnership is I feel like we've always been very much on the same page about what the destination is. Yeah. But I might take this route in that car and he might take that route and that car. Very, very different pathways, but ultimately our vision of the end is very similar. So as an example, because you brought up like, were you like totally weirded out by like, we're going to do this meditation class? Initially, the first year when we were really rooting into our education and training and coaching and trying to bring this culture, this open source culture to life and breathing energy and breathing air into it. Initially, I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me that we're going to do that thing. Mm-hmm. And yet, I am a big believer. You cannot level somebody up from one piece of themselves. No. You have to level up with the whole of yourself. Mm-hmm. It's got to be mind, body, spirit. It's got to be my work, my home, my financial, my spiritual, my religion. It needs to be holistic. So I think what was interesting was I really had to challenge myself. Like, wait a minute. The whole point of this is that you're trying to bring education, training, coaching, mentorship, performance development, personal, professional development. You're trying to bring this thing to life. So what's your hang up? Right? Talking about awareness with you earlier. What's your like having that conversation with yourself and like, why are you so tripped up about meditation? Why are you so tripped up about having a prayer night? Why are you so tripped up about, this isn't a good example because we do this now. Chris McLaughlin teaches a moon class and she's literally doing natal charts. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. Now, today, coolest thing ever. But had it been introduced 6 years ago, I might have like scratched my head and be like, is this really going to enable somebody to perform better? Right. Yes, in some cases it does. And if it does, game on. We should bring it to the table of North&Co training, education, mentorship, coaching.
I love it. It's because the open source, and part of being open source is being open to new sources. Totally. And like and when I talk about the brokerage, I was talking to an agent, a new licensee the other day that was like, called me and was like, hey, I want to talk to you about North&Co. I was like, sorry, we don't take new licensees. Listen, the other place that they were looking at was great, and talked to them about a bunch of stuff. But they're like, well, why is North&Co different from this place? And I said, well, there are a number of reasons, but the main reason is we're an open source brokerage. Meaning, I know you may have a certain expertise that I don't, and I'll call you and ask for that, and you'll be like, oh, here, blah, blah, blah. And then when you need something from me, you're going to call me and I'll say, here. And so it does create, I don't ever feel like there's a sense of competition. Mm-hmm. I'm in an office space in North Central Phoenix next to the powerhouse North Central team. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing but like, hey, dude, do you have oh yeah, I have it. Do you? Yes, I've got and it's just all because we gain so much more from each other than we take. Yep. And that's, so that open source and that 360 degree kind of view of it all, like mind, body, spirit. Absolutely. And you can tap in or not, you can tap in as much or as little as you can. Absolutely. But the juice is in giving into it. And, Brian said something the other day, yesterday on one of our calls, that like I came in and I opened to it. And I did. I was like, I'm just ready to like, what else is out there? What do we got? They've got something different. That's cool. It's smart. Like, and that was the one thing that when I came back from one of my meetings with Brian, it was the first time I met Brian. Beth goes, you know, you're going to go there. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, one, you keep talking about how smart that guy is. She's like, you don't give too many people too much credit for being super smart. She's like, you like, there's something there. And she goes, and two, you look up to him. You don't look up to too many people. Like it was his language. It was the way he spoke about this as a business. And I was like, I want to run a business. I've always wanted to. And so it tapped right in. So that business acumen side of it, but then opening to that and then seeing the other doors that were open, and the other things to tap into, and really, and it was such a welcome breath for me and Beth, especially as we were growing in our lives and as we were dealing with complexities that we had going on, to be able to have access to a guy like Al Fuentes.
Yep.
And I was petrified to speak to Al. I told him, he's like, what are you scared of? I'm like, dude, I don't want to look, and I don't like, I don't know, like, I don't know where you're going to see, you know, and I don't even know what you're going to see. And what I found was that dark corner isn't that dark, and what's in it isn't like a big gargoyle. It's like a little garden gnome, you know, like, oh, just look at cute, tickle him, throw him away, whatever. So
dress him up.
Yeah, dress him up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bring you all dressed like him on Halloween. But there was nothing, and it was so cool, and it was like, wow, I'm not nearly as screwed up as I thought I was, and like we can look at things instead of having to break down and bop bop bop. It's just like, boop, it's just like looking the other way.
So here's a parallel. You asked me about my evolution as a leader going from corporate to entrepreneur business with Brian. You've got to do the work. You have to be willing to be aware, audit yourself, and grow. Aware, audit yourself, grow, right? So Al Fuentes was single-handedly one of there's so many things, so many connecting dots along the way that I could say transformed the kind of woman, the kind of mom, the kind of leader that I am. But that was one of the first elements that I applied. Was I too was scared, was meeting with Al and being willing to look in the mirror, right? And being willing to figure out who am I? Who am I truly? What am I showing to other people? Because who am I may not be what other people are actually seeing. And then who do I want to be? That's really where I'm at, right? I have a whole new world of ideas and exciting visions towards who I want to be, because it's so interesting, right? You are forever at the root who you are.
Yes.
However, you can absolutely continue to build a skyscraper or a multifamily or stay as an individual like you have the ability to grow yourself into anything that you want to be. And so one of those things that I did first was take the first step in meeting with Al and really looking in the mirror and committing to doing the daily visualizations, which then led me to do my own creative meditative visualization stuff. And then that led me to, and I am stoked that I have a entirely cool morning routine and that I just really am investing in myself way more than I ever have.
What is your morning routine? I've tried to develop a morning routine that is becoming more powerful to me. Yep. What's your morning routine? And then I know you have to go, so we'll wrap after this. Yes. But I am so interested in this.
So, funnily enough, 12 days ago, it changed because of oil pulling. Do you know what oil pulling is? Okay, good. You don't know what it is?
I hope Beth is tuning out because I have a feeling it costs money. So
no, it doesn't really.
Okay, cool. Tune back in. All right.
Okay, so for the last 4 or 5 months, my routine has been wake up, throw on my workout gear, head outside. We live in North Central like you do, and it's just a great place to walk. So head outside, and I spend about an hour outside. For the most part, it's a 40-minute walk with a 20-minute run. Meanwhile, I've got my Beats headphones on, and I'm listening, for the most part, 9 times out of 10, to a Tim Ferriss podcast. Okay. I am moved by him every single day. So end my walk, run, podcast, beats at my doorstep. Head to my backyard. I don't even go through. If I go through the front door, I am derailed.
Josh, yep.
Yes. I go through the back door. I stretch. I do some push-ups and sit-ups, and my kids tell me all the time, where, mommy? But I do some push-ups and sit-ups and stuff like that. And then to finish off my kind of run and cardio. And then I sit down and I have a floor pillow. I have a whole process that I follow. When I meditate, I don't meditate in a chair. I need to be as closely rooted to the ground as possible.
Yeah.
So I sit on the ground, crisscross applesauce with my palms open. Why? Because I'm receiving. And I do a 8 to 15 minute visualization meditation. And I take certain herbs. I drink. I missed some key steps in there about some herbs and some water that I take right when I wake up on an empty stomach versus after I finish the meditation.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm spending almost an hour and a half on myself every morning before really anything else, before kids, before breakfast, before any of that. 12 days ago, I started, Josh, my hubby, introduced me to oil pulling. Oil pulling is something very Eastern world, Eastern medicine-ish.
Cool. Okay.
Oil pulling, and I hope I say this right, is where you're literally pulling toxins out of your cells because you have oil in your mouth. Bear with me here.
Okay.
So every single morning, I now wake up, go downstairs, and I take a teaspoon of coconut oil. It could be any cold pressed oil. So sesame oil, coconut oil, and I'm forgetting the third one that's good cold pressed oil. I like coconut oil. So I take a teaspoon of coconut oil, and you're supposed to put that in your mouth, swish it around for 10 to 20 minutes.
10 to 20 minutes.
Yes, it's a long time. Yes. So 2 things. 1, why? What is oil pulling? Water and oil don't mix. They don't mix. Yeah. Oil and oil do mix. Think about everything that you consume and everything that you put in your body turns into a lipid. A lipid is a fat.
Yeah.
So when you put your oil into your mouth and you swish it around, the oils the lipids that are in your cells go up because your tongue is really a vehicle to all things that is healthy or unhealthy in your body. So your tongue enables your body to pull the toxins through your cells and into your mouth.
Oh my gosh.
So swish, 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 10 to 20 minutes. So once you're done, don't put it in the sink because you could clog your sink. Make sure you put it in a trash can. And it's crazy to see.
Is it horrifically gross? Is it like...
It transforms. I mean, it takes all of your junky junk and it turns a very clear, crystal clear oil into foggy milkiness. Yes.
Gross.
So oil pulling can help you with insomnia, acne, indigestion. I have IBS. That's probably TMI. I'm so sorry,
IBS,
but it's realistic. Cool. Yes. I have a tough time sleeping at night. It has totally helped me sleep better at night. I've noticed a difference in my skin. I know I'm only a couple weeks in. So my point in my change of morning routines is I have to be at home in order to do the oil pulling. So now I go downstairs, I put the oil in my mouth, I run upstairs, I put on my workout gear, I go meditate now, and then I spit it out and take my herbs and my vitamins and my water, and then I go for my walk run.
Cool.
That's a long way around.
That's an amazing morning routine. And the fact that you devote that amount of quality time to yourself when is a busy mom, wife, executive ever get a minute, you have to create it.
You have to create it.
And that's what I've started doing, waking up earlier, creating it. It is so important. And your routine is powerful.
Bar the doors is literally my visual for myself because so much is coming in. You've got emails, you've got texts, you've got hubby, you've got kids, you've got all of the stuff that kept you up maybe at night for like, shoot, I didn't do, I forgot to do, I need to do. Bar the doors. The most important thing that you do, right? Oxygen mask on first. The most important thing that you do to kick off your day is give you.
Yes, I love it. Stephanie, on that point, that's a great place to stop. Thank you so much for coming.
No,
listen,
I'm happy to be here.
People are going to watch this and be like, no wonder she's your favorite person. Whoop, whoop, you know? Thank you so much for coming. You're truly, an amazing person. You're an inspiration for so many people. You are a powerful, caring executive, and that is needed so much in this world. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.